So in the last video, we said goodbye to Villachuato. Now we're off to Asia. But before we go, one last stop in Purundiro before we get on our bus on our way to Mexico City. Our last ice cream in Purundiro and my last horchata there in Elvia's hand. Look at that beautiful girl. Look at that beautiful face. Look at her. And just like that, we're back on the bus to Mexico City. And after about an hour on the road, we stop in another city to pick up a few more passengers. And after about 5 hours on the bus, we're back in Mexico City again. I can tell because I see these ski lifts traveling through the sky. What they call the cable bus, or cable bus. But just because we made it to Mexico City doesn't mean our ride's over. We still got about another 40 minutes until we get to the bus stop. Once we get to the bus stop, it's time to collect our luggage. And here's Elvia being a good Samaritan and watching out for this lady who's about to get all of her stuff ran over by the bus, pulling into the parking spot next to us. Budget travel tip. When using things like Airbnb or Booking.com, make sure to contact your host a day before arriving. On this particular stay, we ended up having to sit out on the sidewalk for almost an hour before getting into the building. We can laugh about it now, but at the time we were pretty frustrated while we sat on the curb with the sun starting to go down. Not sure if we were going to have to find a new place at the last minute. But eventually the lady showed up and let us know the room would be ready in another hour after she mopped the floor. So we went out and got some dinner. Now the first place we went wasn't so good, but one thing Mexico City is for sure to have is plenty of places to eat. The second place we went had probably the best birria I've ever had, and they even had a special homemade sauce made with some kind of strange fruit. When I complimented them on it, they sent me home with a little to-go cup. If you're in Mexico City, check these guys out. You'll be able to find them because there's a hedge cut into the shape of an elephant out front. Well, we were only going to have a couple of days in Mexico City, and there was a lot to discover. We had lots of things we wanted to see and not a lot of time. Now, we could have made it easy and just grabbed an Uber wherever we went. But where's the fun in that? When you've got trains, subways, walking bridges, buses, and even this bus on a cable in the sky, if we can find it. With all the things to see in Mexico City, what was first on our list? None other than the Basilica of Our Lady, Guadalupe. Now let's see if we can find that bus in the sky, the cable bus. Well, we found it, and it was extremely cheap too. I'd looked on TripAdvisor or something like that, and they were offering tours for $40 a person, but this is actually a standard means of travel for the local people, so the cost is only about $1 or $2 per ride. I think we rode all 3 lines of this thing, one of them taking us to the uppermost part of all of Mexico City, where we saw a bunch of dogs laying around on the sidewalk. Got some ice cream and then rode it back down. The view that we were able to see from the cable bus was amazing. You get a look right down on the top of this whole neighborhood, and we even saw this plane parked in somebody's backyard. And see how the houses are building right up the mountain. So we are waiting for our Uber. We are on our way to, how do you say it?
Bosque de Chapultepec.
Okay, so some big park, like the Mexico City Central Park. We just got done doing the Cable Bus, and we're standing outside one of the stations right now. And just like that, Uber was here to pick us up. It was kind of starting to sprinkle a little bit, and I was a little worried about getting to the park and have it rain on us. All right, let's go see this park, Chapultepec. I can't tell you how easy Uber is. Everywhere we go, it seems like. So great to just order up a car and have it drive wherever you're standing. I can't say that I was entirely prepared for all the walking we were going to have to do in the park, but it was a very nice path with a great view of the city. I'm not exactly sure where this Ferris wheel is, but we had a great view of it from this walkway. I believe there's 5 museums total in this park. We only got to visit one of them on this trip. We'll definitely have to come back another time. This sure was quite a place. The views from the property out over the city were just amazing. Sometimes it's so easy to get caught up in the news of the day or the history of the country that you grew up in. It's so easy to forget about each country having a history of its own. You have no way of knowing just what went on in the history of another country. The lives that were lost, the monuments that were built, and all the sorrows from all the fighting, oftentimes instigated by only a select few. I never thought that I'd get so interested in the history of another country, but reading some of the exhibits here in the museum really got me to thinking about some things. I learned a few interesting things about Mexico's past on this trip. One of them being that the citizens of Mexico at one point in time didn't like their president and enlisted the help of the French government, and in doing so, the French installed an Emperor of Mexico. This carriage here is the carriage of that Emperor of Mexico. There really was a lot to see in this museum, and I wish we could have taken longer to really understand what all of these different pictures and artifacts were. It was definitely an amazing place, and I could definitely see myself going back and seeing it again. I did learn that when the French installed their Emperor of Mexico, they actually used this museum as their residence. I don't recall what year that was, but I really doubt that all these skyscrapers existed at that time. There were a lot of paintings and murals that really depicted the severe amount of violence that's taken place in the country. All of the artwork contained a lot of emotion, especially this one of the boy falling from the sky. What made it so much more powerful was where this painting actually was. We've got a lot to see in just a few days. Now, Mexico City had grown so large that it actually swallowed up this entire park. Now it surrounds it completely. So we were able to just walk out one side right into downtown Mexico City. It didn't take long before I found a food cart selling fresh mangoes. And as you can tell, I really like my mangoes. Yummy, yummy. Blas, your mango tree's ready. After walking around downtown a bit, it was starting to get late in the evening, and it was time to start heading back to our room. We squeezed on a city bus. Here you can see just how crowded the bus was. From buses to subways to trains, we're having to really learn how to navigate public transportation on this journey. Well, the sun's going down and we're starting to get hungry. It's time to find something to eat. Well, it is raining pretty hard. Just sticking my head out here. In our room, we have no ceiling here, so we get rain outside our room. It's raining right now. We just got home. We got back to the hotel maybe about 15 minutes ago, 20 minutes ago. It's raining pretty hard, and we were walking back. We walked about 8-9 blocks from our last bus stop to get back here. So we either got lucky or God was watching out for his children this evening. Either way, we're happy. We only had a couple of nights in Mexico City, so now it's time to get to bed and head to LA in the morning. I had a wheel coming loose in one of our suitcases, so I had to do a bit of maintenance work there in the airport, and I found out how sharp my pocket knife was. Well, on to another plane. This will be our last stop in the United States for quite a while, with a quick overnight stop in LA. I don't know if I'll ever get tired of seeing the city lights out of a plane window. Well, it's been a long day. It's time to find our suitcases and make our way to a hotel. We'll only get a few hours of sleep before we have to be back and get on our plane to Tokyo. This is the not so glamorous part of the road and beyond, lugging around heavy suitcases on and off of shuttle buses and in and out of Ubers. I guess that's the way it has to be when you're carrying around everything that you own. This is a designated area for getting picked up by ride shares like Uber or Lyft. They've got these little tents and designated pickup spots. It actually worked out quite well. Well, we made it to our room for the evening. This is actually the nicest Motel 6 I've ever stayed in. And back up bright and early, 5 a.m., and riding the airport shuttle back over to LAX. We only got about 4 or 5 hours of sleep, but it was sure better than nothing. Here we're starting our actual journey on the road and beyond. We get on a flight for Tokyo here in about an hour. We slept in LA last night. This is our first time in LA for both of us. It's about 9 o'clock in the morning. We have a daytime flight, so it shouldn't be too bad.
We're excited.
We're excited. We got a chance to watch a drug dog in training here in the airport. I think half of the pictures and videos that Elvia took that day were of this dog. Okay, this is the last you're going to see of us here in the United States. Next time you'll see us will be in Asia, probably in Tokyo. We'll see everybody then. Well, it's time. Goodbye LA and goodbye USA. Slippers? Hello? Okay. Getting ready to have a good time on our 12-hour flight to Tokyo. For airplane food, this first meal wasn't too bad actually. It was an 11.5-hour flight, but with leaving this early in the morning, it really didn't feel that bad. I even got a chance to work on some video editing for the Road and Beyond channel. The second meal was no good, crusty old Hot Pocket. Landing in Tokyo and looking out the window of the jet bridge, I just couldn't help but think how similar Japan looks to every other city I've been in, at least so far. The planes all look the same, the tuggers all look the same, everything out in the airport parking lot looks the same as every other airport I've ever been to. If it wasn't for all the Japanese characters on the signs, I would have a hard time believing we were even in Asia. Look at those boots. There was tons of people trying to get into the country at this time. Immigration was packed, but like everything the Japanese do, it was quite organized. Now we had to ride a shuttle from the international terminal over to the main terminal. We have quite a bit of luggage, so we weren't sure if it was a good idea to try to take the train with 4 suitcases and 2 backpacks, so we decided to grab an Uber. Our Uber ride was almost an hour long, from the airport to our Airbnb, but I was quite shocked at how little it actually cost us. I can't imagine what that Uber ride would have cost in New York City, but in Tokyo it was just a little over $60. Luckily, right next door to our Airbnb was a restaurant, so we were about to have our first Japanese meal. At this point, both Elvia and I are extremely exhausted. We've had a long couple of days traveling from Mexico City to Tokyo. It sure will be nice to be able to lay down and not have a 5 a.m. wake-up call. Well, that's it for this episode of The Road and Beyond. You'll have to wait till next week to see all about Tokyo.